I was dual career for 12 years. I
Wow.
sold in 2016. It was my last year as a dual career agent. I sold 82 homes while maintaining
Whoa.
a full-time job.
Wow. Okay. We got to dive into that. Surprisingly, a lot of agents are dual career,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of the most popular limiting beliefs is that you can't be successful doing that. So what was the secret there?
You know, the bottom line is if you're going to do something, do it. Because I was raised that way to work hard and communicate and work fast and be responsive, I was able to be good at both jobs. Now, I didn't have to go into an office or sit in a cubicle. Like I was remote. I covered, 5 states. Real estate didn't know that I had a real job. And, my boss and the people that I worked with at my real job did know that I had a side hustle. And I got hooked on the money. And I'm like, I got a salary and I got benefits. And I actually liked what I did. And I just did both at a very, very, very high level until I said, okay, my side hustle is way out earning, my corporate America job. It's time to.
You're selling like thousands of dollars a month.
Walked into I was in the telecommunication space before I was in real estate. And I moved to Minneapolis with my cousin. And I'm like, hey, I need to get a cell phone. And she's like, oh, go to this store and ask for this guy. And he's like, oh, what are you doing for work? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing promotional advertising. And he's like, come to the county fair this weekend with me and help me sell, cellular phones, pagers, and satellite dishes. And I'll guarantee that you'll make X amount of money. And if you do, will you come take a look at working for me? And everything checked off, and I did. And he's like, I have a satellite office in Phoenix. I'm running in the red, and I want you to go out there and sell and build a sales team and run it.
Oh, wow.
I was 22. I'd never been on an airplane. And I just, September 2nd of 1998, I got on an airplane. I'm like, oh, this is what they look like, just like on TV. And I called my parents when I landed, and I said, I'm moving to Phoenix. And they're like, what? And I did. And I was there for 7 years. And then I met somebody at a gym named Zach Keeps. He's been my real estate mentor. He's got 300 rental properties. He flips homes. And he's actually going to be on our Keller Williams Investor Club workshop. We're going to Zoom him in on June 6th to talk about passive income. So I was a dual career agent from 2004 to 2016. I had 2 laptops, 2 cell phones, and I did both at a high level. And my employment agreement said you can live anywhere you want in your territory. Texas was part of my territory. Full disclosure, I had a couple buddies bring me to the Byron Nelson golf tournament, and I'm like, oh, wow, I want to move there. And I moved here in September of 2005, and I've never looked back.
So were you working for telecommunications the whole time?
So from the fall of 2004 until January of 2016, I was dual career for 12 years.
Wow.
I sold in 2016. It was my last year as a dual career agent. I sold 82 homes while maintaining a full-time job.
Wow. Okay. We got to dive into that. So, okay, what year did you move here?
2005.
Okay, so most of that time was here in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be 20 years this fall that I've been here.
All right, so how do you surprisingly, not surprisingly, a lot of agents are dual career, and it's one of the most popular limiting beliefs is that you can't be successful doing that. So what was the secret there?
Well, I mean, first of all, I grew up on a large dairy farm in Wisconsin. I was raised by 2 workaholics, so naturally I became one, and I still am one. And it was one of those, my dad always said, if you're going to build a fence, you might as well build a good fence. The bottom line is if you're going to do something, do it. And because I was raised that way to work hard and communicate and work fast and be responsive, I was able to be good at both jobs. Now, I didn't have to go into an office or sit in a cubicle. Like I was remote. I covered, 5 states. Real estate didn't know that I had a real job. And, my boss and the people that I worked with at my real job did know that I had a side hustle. And I got hooked on the money. And I'm like, I got a salary and I got benefits, and I actually liked what I did, telecommunications, and I had indirect dealer channels that I supported, and I would go to San Antonio and Austin, Houston, Arkansas, Colorado, Oklahoma on a monthly, quarterly basis. But I had a licensed assistant, which was able to keep me above water when I would go on the road. And I just did both at a very, very, very high level until I said, okay, my side hustle is way out earning, my corporate America job. It's time to focus on one and go build that even more.
So 82 homes in 1 year, that's how many per month? That's, I don't know, over 5 a month. So
7.
What was this? How did you balance your time?
Well, so I was with a different brokerage firm before. I was with Keller Williams for 14 years, and we were on a corporate relocation contract. And I had the honor and privilege to be one of the agents who worked on the Toyota account. And I ended up relocating a Toyota engineer that had been there for 20-some years. And his father, who had been retired, was moving here first to get ahead of his son and his wife and granddaughter. And I did a really good job with him because that's what you do when you do something at the highest level. And that got back to him that I, handed him, with white gloves and did a great job. And then my business card just flew up and down the entire engineering department at that company to the tune of, I got requested 24 times in January of 2017 to work with one of those transferees. So that was really what took my production from, doing 2 deals a month into the next level, to get noticed by, other brokers who started calling about, hey, we want you to, come over here. And then the recruiting, really started.
So that was when Toyota was moving.
Mm-hmm. So they had a satellite office up there at the old EDS campus at Legacy and just between Parkwood and Preston. In fact, I drove by it on the way here. So that was their temporary satellite office while they were building the campus. So I would go there and I would pick people up and keep in mind, of those 82 transactions, over 65 of them were buyers. These weren't just listings that you got to have more horsepower and more time in buyers. Like when we're done here today, I'm going to get a buyer to show them 9 homes.
Right.
So it takes a lot longer to show 9 homes to one buyer and facilitate a buyer transaction than it does to take a listing.
Right.
Now, listings are taking more time to move and, there's more marketing and more effort just because of the interest rates and the tariffs and just more inventory. We have, I learned on Thursday, we have 10,000 more homes in the MLS than we had a year ago at this time. Naturally, buyers have more options and they are exhausting those options before they make a decision on what they're doing.
Right.
So yeah, it wasn't easy. I wouldn't wish my 2016 schedule upon my worst enemy, but it's the year that I'm actually the most proud of because we were very lean. And this was before I was at Keller Williams, where I knew, the MREA book and the MREA model and learned about, running a business and being profitable. We were extremely profitable because it was, like I said, me and a licensed assistant. That level of volume forced me to build a team or try to figure out how to build a team because imagine you're in a boat and you're just taking on water and it's like, I got to just keep pumping water out of the boat so I don't drown. I didn't know how to have a team. Comp plans were out of whack. I mean, it was a mess. But that's when I learned and grew that if I'm going to do this at a high level and have a team, I have to have systems. I have to have structure. And then eventually I found my way to Keller Williams, which is obviously something that they're big on education. We're big on education and we're big on training and, leads, listings, and leverage. So it was quite a journey.
That is incredible. So I think you just answered what my question was going to be. So was your W-2, was it a 9 to 5 really?
I mean, it's one of those where it's corporate America. Hit your quota and they don't ask any questions.
Okay.
But yeah, it was salary, it was commission, it was all the benefits, 401k. Give you per diem when you're on the road, pay for your hotel, and if you fly, you're all that's covered. It was a great job. It was in the 150 range, which I mean, that's a decent living. But I'm motivated by the all-American dollar, and I wanted more, and I loved real estate. and I started to see what one deal a month could do, and then two deals a month could do, and then just like I said, the floodgates opened, and I wanted more and more and more and more.
So were you just filling up? So you would work, and then your evenings and weekends were just full. Because you're right. I mean, working with buyers primarily out of that list, that's a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, buyers that have jobs are working during the day, during the week when I am. Yeah, it was, I mean, did I work every single day in 2016? Yes. Like weekends, we were showing properties. With corporate relo buyers, if they're not here yet, if they haven't, started or had their report date, they're coming in on a Thursday. They have a house hunting trip, and they usually get 2 trips, paid for. So it was a lot of like, we go look at houses Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then that was every single weekend.
So the answer to being able to do all that was to build a team.
Yeah, it was like, I was forced to build a team. So it's like, here, Wes, you take this buyer, and Dale, you take this buyer, and Rebecca, you take this buyer. And it was just like, okay, that's your buyer. You're going to do all the work. It's a 50-50 split. But it was, and I asked, Christy Cannon is a very high producing, well-respected agent. And I asked her a long time ago, I said, what do you tell your clients when they say, I want to work with you? And she said, no, they want to work with the standard that we set. So as long as the people that are on your team, or the people that you are handing a buyer lead or a seller lead off to, give the client the same level of service that you do, it's okay. And I had to learn that, because again, it was always like, no, it's my client. They want me. They want me. There's only so much of me going around. So I was handing out, referrals like it was candy, because again, the boat was going to sink.
And when you're on a team and you give somebody a lead and they close it, does that count as a deal that you've
Yeah, I mean,
closed?
it's written in my name. It's written, under mine, and they're facilitating. And I had a transaction coordinator that had come from the title business, who was very, very fast and efficient. Like, there's no way like I would have been able to hire a transaction coordinator that didn't have any experience to handle. In 2017, we had 135 closings, 55.7 million. Now, I didn't have a full-time job in 2017, so I was, running the team, but I've always been very deep in production myself. I'm not just sitting in the ivory tower over, watching everybody else. I'm still, in production myself very deeply to this day.
So what made you decide I need to leave the W-2? Just got to the point where you just couldn't.
I mean, when you're making 4 times, on your side hustle what your real job is paying you, it's time. Like I said, I mean, I was younger then, and in better shape and more conditioned to do that. But again, when you were raised on a farm, dairy farm, you milk cows every 12 hours. Doesn't matter if you're sick, doesn't matter what the weather is. That's just what it's like on a dairy farm. So when I say I was conditioned and groomed from birth to work this schedule, nobody out there watching this is going to outwork me or out hustle me. Like, that's just my mentality. Like, I'll challenge you to do that. And people say, well, why are you successful? Answer your phone, answer your email, answer your text, show up on time, do what you say you're going to do. You will always have work. And I don't care if you're a painter, a plumber, or electrician. I don't care what you do for a living. If you just do what you say you're going to do, you will always have work.
So are you still working with that Toyota account?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, Toyota, Raytheon, Chase Bank, Cook's Children's Hospital. I've done Microsoft T-Mobile. We did a lot of, USAA, Movers Advantage, Navy Fed. So we work with a lot of companies who relocate people here. I mean, I have a Toyota listing under contract, right now. Some of them have retired, and guess who they call to list and sell their home when they retire? The person who put them in the home, who did a good job, and stay in touch with your database, with your clients. They will come back to you. I have more, coming. So the corporate relocation, a lot of people go, I don't want to pay the referral fee. Well, do you want, 50% of X, or do you want 100% of zero? And again, for me, I never dreamed that it would have turned into, what it did. But I'm grateful, and I stay in touch with those people. And again, in a metroplex where there's give or take 70,000 people that do what we're doing, how are you going to stand out? You have to be different.
So is there a strategy to getting those type of connections with these big companies, or is that just you did a good job with one person that works in there? And
I mean, I've been on other interviews and podcasts where I can honestly say, like, I took the first one and I've done over 250 of them in 10 years. So if you look at that and do the math and go, wow, that's 2 a month every month for 10 years. Yeah. Like, it's a gift that keeps giving. Again, that is a rare, situation. And there are other like big companies that are moving here or, moving out of here. That one was rare just because of the volume. I remember in March of 2017 was my best month ever. I had 27 closings in 1 month, 9 in 1 day. And it was one of those where I didn't sleep the night before because you're stressed out. Like, everything tomorrow needs to go as planned. It's like, well, how did you go to 9 closings in 1 day? I didn't. Now, keep in mind, some of those were, hey, Wes, that was the buyer that I gave you. You got to go to that one. Rebecca, you got to go to that one. Dale, you got to go to that one. Some of them were remote closings. I think I went to 2 of the 9. But it was just one of those where, I mean, it's a day like, you mentioned, you went to an Easter egg hunt, with your daughter. You'll remember the day that, your daughter was born. There are just big days, in your head that you will never forget. And from a real estate perspective, that's the one day that it's the greatest day in the history of my real estate career.
Yeah, that's incredible. So working with these big companies, is it as simple as, do you call them? Is it?
Well, that was an example where they're the company, they work with a relocation company, and then the relocation company assigns a coordinator to work with, they're called the transferee, like who's moving here. I have one that I'm working with right now. He's moving here from Iowa with Chase Bank. I got him because December 28th of 2016, I remember that day because it's my father's birthday. Adrian from Chase Bank closed on a brand new Highland home in Hollyhock, and now Kelly works with Adrian. And Adrian told me a couple months ago, hey, my buddy is going to move here. He is going to request you, which that's fully legit. Like, he goes to the relocation company that says, hey, we're moving to Dallas. I'm going to take the transfer, the job offer. There's a realtor down there that I want to work. It's me. He requests me. The referral agreement gets signed between our brokerage firm and the relocation company. He and his wife get assigned to me. They're coming the first week of May, and I'll show them homes, and I will put them in a home. If I didn't do a good job with Adrian and didn't stay in touch with Adrian, Adrian doesn't refer me to Kelly. So going back to the Toyota, I started out with Alan, and then he referred me and referred me and referred me and referred me, and it went from the engineering department to the finance department to the IT department.
But they're referring you to these coordinators, is what you're saying.
Well, they're referring me to the transferee, and the transferee is requesting to work with me.
To work with you.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. That is a whole different,
it's a vertical market. Like, you say, like, hey, if you want to close 50 transactions this year, how many are going to come from your sphere? How many are going to come from your local BNI chapter or your agent-to-agent chapter? I had a conversation with Ben. Ben introduces me to you. I introduce you to Ryan and Drew down in Austin. And then obviously, like, you get to Annika, and then Annika's like, hey, Wes has a podcast. Like, you think about the relationships that you build. Real estate agents are way too transactional. All they worry about is the one client they have right now, and they do a good job and they close the deal, and then they go, what do I do now? Like, you've got to be having relationships. Yesterday, I had 4 Zooms back to back to back to back, and I went to the National BNI Conference. I'm a huge component of BNI. We have a local chapter. We have 42 members in our local chapter. We meet every Thursday morning from 8 to 9:30 a.m. I'm the education coordinator this year in our chapter. But then I'm also in an agent-to-agent network group. You say, well, what is that? If you are in a major city and you are in BNI, you are in this group. And we are on Zoom the first Monday of every month from 1 to 2:30 p.m. I'm the only agent in that group from DFW. So if you are in Austin, Ryan is in Austin, I've established a relationship with Ryan. So when I know people moving to Austin, I can refer to him. And then when he knows people coming to DFW, he can refer them to me. I have an active listing right now in Coppell that was a referral because of Ryan. I have a listing in McKinney because of Ann in Chicago. I have a listing in Lucas because of Jamie in Colorado Springs. So if you, again, people are too transactional in our business. So if you get into relationships with other realtors around the country, okay, they're going to know you, like you, and trust you once they get to that level. If you didn't have any credibility on me, I wouldn't be sitting here today. Or if you didn't have any credibility with Ben, I don't even get a chance to meet you. So this is a relationship business, and if you have good, strong relationships, you will thrive. And if you don't like people and you don't have good relationships, you are in the wrong business.
Absolutely. So how old were you when you moved here in 05?
So I'm 49 now, so I'd have to back into it with 20.
So you're in your 20s.
Yeah, I was in my mid-20s, and I didn't know anybody in Dallas.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is what point did it really start picking up for you?
So I mean, again, like I got here, I got my license, and you start talking shop. Like, Steph Curry is a gym rat. He's always in the gym working on his craft. I'm a real estate junkie. Like we could sit here for 12 hours and talk about real estate. You and I can talk about sports. Like I want to bring value. So I talk shop and talk real estate, whether it be your neighbors, go to networking events, making sure that when I did get my first client, I turned it into more. The owner of the brokerage firm that I worked before I was at Keller Williams always said 1 equals 5. And if you can turn a client into 5 other closings, then you are doing, the right thing. So if you think about like a transaction you're working right now, and I know that more than just real estate agents, are going to watch this, but if you are in any sales vertical market, the goal is more sales, right? More contacts. How can you turn that in? Thursday, there was a new person that was in our BNI chapter as a guest. She's in the hail repair business for cars, not houses, not roofs. Obviously, that falls under a roofer. Annika's car got hammered with hail last year. So it was one of those where like, hey, her name is Jessica, and I'm promoting her now. She came to BNI. She happened to sit next to me. We had a conversation. I'm like, one of the agents on my team actually has that. I'm going to send you and her an email and introduce you. She's going to come to our office on Monday and look at her car. Now, will she get the business? Who knows? But I hadn't met anybody specifically that does what she does.
And I know what BNI is, but just for people listening, what is BNI?
So BNI stands for Business Network International. It's the largest and oldest organized networking group in the world. It started in 1980 in Milwaukee by Dr. Ivan Miser. It's an exclusive group. I am the only residential real estate agent in my local BNI chapter.
And from my understanding, you can only have one category.
It's exclusive. So if you are a commercial agent, you're in there for commercial real estate, and I'm in there for residential real estate. You don't fish in my pond, and I don't fish in your pond.
So how do you get up? There's only so many cities here. So, I mean, if you just take...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact number. There's over 100 BNI chapters in DFW.
So there may be multiple in one city.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So there's an agent at our office at the Keller Williams Dallas Preston Road Market Center. He has started a chapter that actually meets on the 3rd floor of our building on Wednesday morning. He asked me to come in and speak as somebody who's been in BNI for a long time and does it at a high level. When I was in Houston last week for the national conference, he went to my BNI chapter and actually subbed for me because attendance is absolutely critical and it's monitored. And so he was my sub like I was his guest the week before.
Interesting.
And again, the goal of BNI is givers gain.
Yeah.
And again, if you know, like, and trust me, you're going to refer business to me, and I'm going to refer business to you.
So, okay, you seem like an extreme networker. What point did that really start? I mean, realistically, for people that are listening to this and go, this is really inspiring.
Yeah.
What, realistically, what are we looking at?
I've been in my local BNI chapter for 5 years. So when I switched brokers, I got into the local BNI chapter, and we've grown. We had 12 members, and now we're up to 42. But the agent-to-agent network group that I'm in, I got in that 2 years ago. So 2 years ago last month. And as we sit here and record this on where are we? April 12th. I've had 9 real estate closings this year. That's closed. That's not pending. That's not active listing. 8 of my 9 closings this year are either from my local BNI chapter or from the agent-to-agent chapter.
Wow.
So again, everybody thinks about their sphere, which they should. But they also have to find another vertical market to produce. You're a real estate investor. I'm a real estate investor. I'm closing on April 28th on a flip. That is a self-generated transaction. So sphere is one revenue source for me. Corporate relocation is one revenue source. Obviously, my BNI agent to agent is one, and then my self-generated, my flip or whatever it may be that I'm doing. So you can't just. Gary Keller says hope isn't a strategy. You can't just sit there and go, wow, I hope I find a buyer, I hope I find a seller. Go out and create it. Go out and find it yourself.
So I got so many questions. Let me just start with, again, so when you first got here, how long did it take before how many years were you into this where you said, this is...
Yeah, so I got here in 2005, and again, like, I had a corporate job that was my everyday, all day. That was my focus, and I was doing 1 to 2 deals a month, and I was at that level of production up until probably 2012 or 13. It wasn't until 2014 when the big Toyota push happened, and then like overnight the business just doubled and tripled and quadrupled. And then it's been able to stay, 2024 was a bad year, I think, for everybody in real estate. But it had continued to go like this. Like, I can honestly say that I was able to make more money 18 years in a row up until 2019.
So even your first year, you were closing 1 to 2 deals a month.
Absolutely. Yeah, my very first year in real estate was in Phoenix in 2004. And my GCI, gross commission earned, I remember, was $133,000. Now that was in Phoenix, and then when I came over here, I didn't know anybody. Obviously, I was starting over, where it was only, it was under 100.
But still, to move to a new city and not know. So what would you tell somebody who it's their first year, they're in an area that they're brand new? How do you get to close $100,000 in GCI?
I mean, get out and hustle. Like, again, you have to. So I always ask people, and you mentioned when we got on, like, and I hate the term, oh, you're a part-time realtor. If you want to call me part-time in 2016, selling 82 homes, never use part-time. Use dual career. Part-time has this like negative stigma about it. So there's an agent in our office. We work together a lot. Her name is Stacy. She was a school teacher in Frisco for 26 years. Everybody knew her as a school teacher. And then she got her real estate license, and she was dual career for 3 years before she retired from teaching and became a full-time real estate agent. You have to get people to think of you as a real estate agent, not as what you do on the side or what you did in the past. So if people say, well, what do? You're an agent, but you're also an investor. So yes, people think of me as he's in real estate, but I want them to think of me just as much as an investor as they do as a traditional agent.
Wow.
It's the perception that you put out there.
I mean, so a lot of people listening to this are going to go, okay, I need to start working with these relocation companies. And maybe you don't want to give the playbook out, but...
Well, and I'll be honest with you, not everybody can get on the relocation team. There's a certain level of production that has to be done. And then I know that we're allowing like 4 agents per market center to be part of.
So that comes through your brokerage.
Correct.
Okay, I see
Yes.
what you're saying. So you got to earn that.
You got to earn
gotta
that. And again, it's like I had to earn it back in the day as well. Again, it's not just getting on the reload team, it's staying on the relocate. But I'm also a member of KW Relocation, just like I'm a member of KW Wealth. I'm a member of KW Luxury. Okay, you don't just join KW Luxury and like, oh, you have a seat at the table. You have to sell, a certain number of homes over a certain price point, and then you have to maintain that in order to do it. It's just like, hey, you join a gym, and as long as you pay them, you get to be a member. Again, there's criteria to get on the team, but then you got to stay on the team. And that comes with producing, and it comes with accuracy. When I go out on a corporate relocation listing, I don't know who the seller is. I'm going in completely cold and blind, just like you would be from another brokerage firm. You're interviewing for the job, just like I'm interviewing for the job. And then again, it's how are you going to separate yourself from the agent you are competing against? So
are you still working with a team right now?
Yeah. So I had a bigger team in 2024. We had comp plans out of whack, and we didn't have buy-in from some of them. I went to a millionaire real estate agent course, and I felt like the instructor was speaking to me. Comp plans again had gotten out of whack, so I said I'm going to gut the team, and I took it down to just Annika and I, who you had on the podcast a couple weeks ago. Now we are rereading the MREA book, and we are rebuilding the team as we speak, 100% per the model. And we hired our second assistant. Melanie started, it'll be 2 weeks on Monday. She's the transaction coordinator and will work into an operations role. And then the next hire will be a buyer's agent. So like I said, sometimes you get off track. Flight pattern. If you're flying from from LA to New York and you're 1 degree off the first 15 minutes of the flight, it's not really a big deal. But 3 hours later, if you continue 1 degree off that flight path, you're going to end up in Florida. You're not going to end up in New York. So we slowly got off the flight path. We slowly got outside the model with COVID and just a crazy market that we went through in 21, 22, and 23. Things obviously have tightened up a lot in our industry. So it's just like an athlete. Sometimes you need a different jersey, you need a different system, and it was time to make a change. We made a very abrupt change, and now we are rebuilding and reloading.
Wow. Man, I feel like we could keep going. We're already kind of running out of time here. So how can people find you that are listening to this?
So Annika, who runs all my social media, we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram. I'm old school. If I use a Calendly app. So if somebody wants to schedule an appointment with me, I would ask that they, do it through Calendly. My email is very simple. It's troy@troyolson.com. Send me an email. Tell me what you took away from, this interview and this podcast. And we will reply to your email. And my Calendly link will be in my email signature, and they'll book a time, for me on Zoom. I don't drink coffee. I rarely drink alcohol. So I'm not going to coffee with you, and I'm not going to happy hour with you. It'll probably be it'll be scheduled with a Zoom or a phone call on the fly. I'm a 80, 90 hour a week person. I'm not afraid to say that or admit that. That's just who I am and how I do it. I get up 7 days a week and I hammer it every single day. You've heard the saying, do you operate out of fear or faith? I operate out of fear. I watched my parents struggle financially growing up because of the farm. And I've always said, if you work every day like you have no money, you will never run out of it. Now, some people may look at that as arrogant and selfish and greedy, but there's a lot of people that are struggling right now. I understand that. I respect that. But I want to make sure that I'm not one of those people. So I literally go to work every day.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on today. This was really insightful for me. It resonated with me a lot. I'm sure people listening to this are going to say the same thing. So for someone at your production to take time out and come and really teach You know, that means a lot.
Well, I had somebody in Arizona, Zach Keeps, the gentleman that I told you that has 300 rental properties, flips homes, and just does everything at a high level. He works every day as well, and he mentored me into the position that I'm in. And I've always said, because I had somebody who gave to me, I will always give back. That's why I'm saying if somebody wants to talk to me or schedule some time with me, I will give back because somebody did it for me.
Yeah. Well, Troy, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.